Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Oh, that was a good swing angle. Now I know how much distance to have to the camera when I do the Peter Dislike swing. I really enjoyed this year. It's been about a year since I screamed Peter Dislike Show onto the camera. I really enjoyed it. And I was just thinking about all the mistakes that I made during this dislike year of my life, and I thought I would make some resolutions for my next dislike year in 2024. One of my biggest disappointments, and I kind of know why it played out this way, one of my biggest disappointments of 2023 was how I handled the board game meetup and all my now former friends there, because we had some disagreements. And I think the biggest mistake I made there was I didn't know my limitations. What do I mean by that? Well, I kept being patient with them at the beginning, and you guys remember when I lamented about waiting 3-4 hours for them to finish a game, and then going back the next day waiting another 2-3 hours. And at first I kind of swallowed all of that, even though I didn't really like it. I thought I was practicing some patience, but I went too far, and I didn't know my limitations. That's one thing that I made a mistake of. I have a difficult time deciding when should I be patient and when should I speak up for myself. I think that's a big problem. I think part of the other reason I sometimes don't speak up for myself when I really should, is I have a weak position, and I show my hand too easily about having a weak position. Yesterday I was at a different meetup, actually. It was for Scrabble, and I really decided to speak up for myself because I don't really like those people as much. See, that's where leverage comes into play. What did I do? Well, there was this group of 3-4 people. They were playing a game that involved a little bit of a laminated sheet, and they were drawing on it with crayon or something. And when they were finished, the guy wanted to erase his board. Now, I would have so much loved to get up and get them a wet paper towel, or I have a bunch of wet wipes in my car. I would have loved to do that. But before I could even speak up, this guy decided to lick his fingers and wipe down the board. And it grossed the heck out of me. I was waiting for them to play a different game, and I said, "Can we please come to this table? I can't even watch that anymore." And I almost barfed. And to my surprise, they followed me to the other table. And see, that's what happens when I have walkaway power. I didn't really like that group as much as I did the former group. It's tricky. I always get the things that I don't want because there's no pressure. It's a lot easier to ask a girl out that you don't like anyway, right? It's a lot easier to get a job that you don't like. It's a lot easier you get the idea, right? Even at the art shows, I often, if there's something that I want to hold on to dear life, I end up selling it a lot easier than other stuff that I actually do want to get rid of, because I show my face to it. That's going to be my other resolution for 2024, is to have a better poker face for that kind of stuff. I think I really fucked up the other meetup group because I didn't show poker face. And you got to understand, these are board game meetup people that I'm messing with. They know their poker face. I'm also going to make a resolution to network more, especially in regard to my art projects. You got to understand my relationship with the bismuth art that I make. The very first time I poured bismuth, which was about 15 months ago, I instantly felt a romantic connection to it. Much more so than any girl I've ever dated. Much more so than even my romantic relationship with myself. My relationship with bismuth really is romantic. A lot of people don't understand that. It's very difficult for me to describe. But think about the best relationship you've ever had, whether it be the current one or a former one, the first time you ever kissed a girl or something like that. Bismuth was like that to me. But it would be nicer if I could use that to network more with people. Now, I'm actually going to dial down my goal for how much bismuth I want to have at the end of 2024. If you guys remember last year, I was talking about wanting to have 10-20 tons of bismuth. Right now I have a little bit under 3. Hopefully by the end of 2024 I'll have 4 tons of bismuth. I'm not going to go big anymore. I'm going to go strong instead and have a big network of art shows to go to and artists to connect with. And I think that's more important because lately I've been investing more so in the networking and the mental health aspect of it. So for example, I wish I could afford to do this more, but my Christmas present to myself was I was going to go out to eat more. I have a couple restaurants that I can find suitable food, right? I control my mental health with diet, so there aren't too many restaurants I can go to, but there are a few. And the ones I go to, I tend to frequent anyway, so it's a good way to network with people. And I find it really therapeutic to be able to walk into a restaurant, and even if all I do is say hello to the waiter there, or to the cooks there, or to the cashier there, I find that very therapeutic. Unfortunately, at the moment, I cannot afford to do that every day, especially multiple times every day, right? But I think this is a way better investment than the precious metals, than the crypto, anything else, right? Because I actually network more with people and get my stuff out there. I want to raise some awareness about a couple of things. Number one, distracted driving. That's been my biggest disappointment ever since moving to Phoenix, Arizona. I'm so glad people are receptive to it these days. Years ago, people used to argue with me about texting and driving. Nowadays, so even eating and driving is kind of frowned upon, and so that's good. The other public matter that really bugs me is how much litter we have here in the Phoenix area. Sometimes if I need the exercise anyway, I'll actually pick up litter from the side of the street. It's just gross more than anything else. I don't seem to remember seeing that when I was in Seattle, not to the extent of here in Phoenix. I think one of the biggest problems is that we don't accept diversity. See, we have a lot of diversity here, which is a beautiful thing, right? Unfortunately, everybody thinks everybody else is outside of their family. Oh, so what if I litter? So what if I kill somebody while texting and driving, while eating and driving? So I hope to bend that curve a little bit. I'm obviously not going to change everything, but to bend that curve a little bit, and especially to raise awareness about acceptance for people who hold romances in different ways other than another human, right? Like I said, the very first time I poured the bismuth crystals, I really did feel like that was a romance. Unfortunately, I have not gotten anybody to even understand it, let alone accept it, right? People sometimes understand my romantic relationship with myself, not so much with the bismuth, with the computer games, with other things that I've had romances toward. So anyways, a big year coming up. I hope to, especially to know my limits. I really fucked up this year because I didn't know my limits on how far I could push my patience with my job, with the board game meetup, with other people at work. So for example, when I was in Seattle, I was working at a different school. I had a colleague, this was during COVID, she had asked me to donate to her some of my paid time off so she could take care of her nephew. And after I did that, she never talked to me again. She refused to even play a board game with me. After I had started writing the AI for a Ticket to Ride Poland, and I asked her if she would be willing to play a couple games and so I can see how this game works. Oh, she was so busy and everything. Now looking back at it, I talked to a couple friends here in Phoenix. My friends here in Phoenix explained that she probably felt guilty, how indebted she was after I gave her, because it was 6 vacation days. When I worked out how much money it was worth, it was like 1 kilogram of silver. And just to put in perspective, and she probably felt indebted to me and felt guilty, and I kind of shooed her away. And that was not the response I was hoping to get, obviously. So that's where knowing your limitations, knowing your colleagues' limitations, knowing boundaries and all that could have really been helpful, right? Maybe I should have spoken up to her, had a dialogue with her before giving them to her, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.